From a surprise demolition interrupting a game of soccer to the shocking moment a landslide swallows a row of parked cars, here are 5 incredible moments that were caught on camera. Have you ever found a parking spot so good you almost wanted to take a picture of it? Well, now imagine the opposite. Imagine a parking spot so bad that Mother Nature decides your car is better off in a ditch. Unfortunately, that's what happened to 5 parked cars in Malaysia when a landslide sent them careening into a valley below. From the start of the video, these brave souls only had 45 seconds to decide if the risk was worth the reward. Move their car to safety and avoid costly damage, and risk being inside when the ground underneath finally gives way. Eventually, the road caves in, sending 5 cars deep into the drainage ditch below. January of 2022 was a particularly rainy month in Kuala Lumpur. However, residents knew what usually comes after hard rain, as landslides are a common natural disaster in the country. Cracks appeared in the road, and a few locals knew they had to act quick if they wanted to save their cars. As for the 5 others, they probably wished they parked somewhere else. Thankfully, all vehicles were empty at the time, and there were no injuries reported. According to police, as long as the owners had insurance, they could file a claim and recoup the damages. We imagine they won't be parking near any cliffs anytime soon. The ocean leaves us with so many more questions than answers. It is an awe-inspiring piece of nature that strikes both fear and wonder into our eyes. The biggest waves you'll see on your average beach trip may only be a foot or 2 high. That is, unless you venture down to Nazaré, Portugal, where the waves get as tall as 50 feet. The beaches here, though, are not for the faint of heart and are mainly reserved for the real adrenaline junkies. The big wave surfers who compete in the annual big wave surfing competition. Jet skis tow them up to the waves, and the surfers do what they do best. Most of the rides end in applause as the surfers make it to safety. For this pro, their ride ended with a massive sigh of relief.
Ça part. Wow. Ah, il manque.
Passé. Oh, il est repassé avec la lèvre.
Il est où?
Là, il vient de repasser avec la lèvre. Là, il a tout mangé.
Tu le vois là?
Là, je le vois. Putain, ça va, il est pas resté longtemps.
Wow.
Le jet ski.
Oh là, reste. C'est bon, là. C'est moi qui a tiré les cartouches là, quoi. Derrière, ça part ou pas?
Non, mais les jets là, ils ont chaud.
At first, everything seemed to be going according to plan. The jet ski tows the surfer into the swell, and they ride along the water like Otto from Rocket Power. However, as the break gets closer and closer, our surfer friend is left with no choice but to bail. The wave crashes overhead, and we lose sight of him. Moments later, he pops up briefly before disappearing underwater once again. Thankfully, a rescue jet ski got there in the nick of time. Even the pros shouldn't underestimate the dangers of big wave surfing. The waves don't stop coming once you wipe out. Surfers have about 20 seconds to reach the surface before the next wave hits, which could force them back underwater. The water pressure at that depth is also enough to rupture your eardrums. Thankfully, surfer pros know how to handle themselves when they inevitably wipe out. While the surfer in this video may not have won the competition, they walked away with something far more important: their life. Admit it, building demolitions are really cool to watch. In a matter of seconds, multi-ton structures come crashing to the ground once the controlled explosives finally go boom. Most of the time, everything goes according to plan. Unfortunately, as we've seen before, sometimes they don't. Thankfully, the Rugeley power stations in Staffordshire, UK came down without a hitch. A local soccer game got more than they bargained for when the towers collapsed behind them. The blast clearly caught a few by surprise as they whipped their heads around to see where it was coming from. Most of the community knew about the demolition. Perhaps someone forgot to tell these soccer players. According to the BBC, police had urged locals to stay away from the blast site due to COVID-19 restrictions. Still, small crowds gathered in different areas to watch the near 400-foot towers come crashing to the ground. Construction on the cooling towers, also known as Rugeley Site B, finished in 1970. The site put out enough energy to power 500,000 homes. Unfortunately, it did so by burning coal. The power station shut down in 2016, and bit by bit, pieces of it were demolished. These 4 towers were the last bastion of the coal-fired power station. On June 6th of 2021, residents waved goodbye as the Rugeley towers came crashing down. Moving forward, the plan is to turn the lot into a residential area. Most people think of sand-covered landscapes when they picture the Middle East. They forget that countries like Pakistan also have snow-capped mountain ranges. The Karakoram Mountains are one such range, and are often the site of deadly avalanches in the Kashmir region. Thankfully, for this group of Spanish documentary filmmakers, the mountains weren't as angry that day. Paco Roses and his film crew trekked through the mountains, but bad weather forced them to take an alternate route. The weather only got worse as they trekked until the heavy snow finally gave way. The filmmakers watched as the avalanche barreled down upon them, knowing there was nothing they could do in the face of Mother Nature.
Oh my God! Are you okay? Enough fish? This good, fish? Enough fish? Where is fish? Okay, okay.
The crew members took cover behind some rocks moments before the wall of ice and snow would have carried them off into oblivion. You can see the snow sticking to Paco's beard as visibility drops to zero. For a harrowing minute, the snow rushed overhead, leaving Paco and his team in worried limbo. Thankfully, the snow kept moving instead of settling down on top of them. The crew reconnected and everyone made it out alive. After this incident, the men spoke with the media to explain what happened. They said they heard a loud noise coming from the side of the glacier. When they looked, they saw the avalanche coming, but thought little of it. It was so far away and it didn't seem all that dangerous. Instead, they used the moment as the perfect opportunity to roll their camera. But only seconds later, the ice wall was right on top of them. We're just glad that they made it out all right, and hopefully this footage made it into their documentary. Life in New England comes with its many perks. You can crack open Maine's most delicious lobsters or relax on southern Rhode Island's scenic beaches. Massachusetts is full of early American history, and Vermont and New Hampshire offer some of the best winter activities in the country. However, one of the best perks about living in New England is that nature is rarely trying to kill you. That is, unless you're this man from Connecticut. On average, Connecticut experiences at least one tornado every year. While rare and often low intensity, the tall New England trees make Connecticut tornadoes more dangerous than they sound. In November of 2021, one family in Cheshire, Connecticut, witnessed this firsthand when a tornado tore through their backyard.
Oh, I don't like the look of this. Oh, a tree. We just lost a tree. We just lost a tree. Oh, that white pine. God, it's gonna go. I hear it. It goes. It goes. They're all going. Holy. Holy. They all went. They all went. All the white pines went. Look at the white pines. Holy. Look at that. Oh my God. Oh my God. Woo!
For reference, the winds you're watching are considered F0, or the minimum intensity required for a tornado. Still, that means the wind is blowing between 40 and 72 miles per hour. Those winds were clearly strong enough to tear down trees in the backyard, trees that just narrowly missed crushing this home. Is the man in this video a little too excited to watch his backyard be torn to shreds? Perhaps. They do say adrenaline is one heck of a drug. The damage was widespread across Cheshire, knocking over trees and tearing down signs. The next morning wasn't any easier as residents transitioned to cleanup mode. Thankfully, nobody was hurt by the passing tornado. That is, unless you're the white pines in this guy's backyard. Well, that's all we have for you today. If you enjoyed this video and want to see another like it, then be sure to click the link on screen now. With that said, thanks for watching and tune in next time.